We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast on this Tuesday morning, this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning in the palatial Central Florida studios. Thank you so much for joining us. Before I get started, I want to tell you about the Vault Society. That is the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation's push currently, the Vault Society. What is that? That is a 5-year commitment of support. Membership starts at $5,000 a year, and there's a benefit chart on the site. All gifts between Ole Miss between now and June 30th will receive triple points. Red points are non-deductible and go towards priority seating. Blue points are 90% tax deductible and go towards parking and non-home ticketed games. That'd be postseason, bowl games, neutral site, etc. If you have any questions, go to give2athletics.com. That is give2athletics.com. May 28th is the lock-in date for basketball, I do believe, for your points lock-in for your tickets. So just a heads up there. So that's the Vault Society, give2athletics.com. If you want to watch the show, you can obviously you watch it here. You're looking at it. But we're on Twitter at the Stephen Willis. We're on Twitter at the Rebel Walk. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. And we are on Facebook at the Rebel Walk. We're on YouTube at positivelyolemiss. Hit the bell for notifications. Subscribe. Do all that. We have other stuff besides my stuff on that site. Greatest games of all time. Press conferences. You can catch them all there. And you can catch us on Twitch at positivelyolemiss, all one word. We have a couple of catch-alls at Willis Digital Media on Twitch and at YouTube. You can catch it there. So we're on audio only. If you want to catch that, audio only, if that's your bag. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. We're on smaller podcatchers as well, but this is only a 30-minute show. Sorry, I wanted to rush through all that because we got a pretty packed show today. Today we're going to talk about a little anti-analytics theory that I've just been kind of working on throughout the weekend, and now I'm kind of ready to bring it to the forefront. We're going to talk a little bit about Jacob Gonzalez winning Freshman of the Week. We're going to talk a little bit about Luis Rodriguez getting the call-up to the Panamanian national team. Congratulations, Luis. And we're going to talk about the reasons I believe there are such inconsistencies with rankings of 2022 quarterbacks. So there was a ranking that came out today, and Matt Corral was not even on it. There was 4 SEC quarterbacks on it, but not him. And I'll tell you why I believe that is happening. But first, I think this baseball team is anti-analytics. Now, everything in the world tells you, looking at it coming into this season, nobody can be blamed for this because all of the numbers told you this. To move Gunnar Hoagland to Friday. And that would make everything better because Doug would be there to lock down Saturday, and everything would happen to do it. And Ole Miss proceeded this season to, I think they've lost 5 series. Now, my theory on this is that they're anti-analytic in the way that when Doug Nikhazy takes the mound, the body language of the whole team improves. Everything's better. They're expecting nothing but good things. It's a tone setter. It's a belief. You're going to start with a 1-0 lead against whoever you're going against because Doug Nikhazy is on the mound. And we saw that last weekend against Kumar Rocker, who's supposed to be a top 5 pick, and it has unreal stuff. But Doug Nikhazy just out-competed him, and it just rubs off on the whole team. And it creates a bunch of energy, and it creates a confidence because, like I say, that all sports are related on, they are, what's the word I'm looking for? They are reliant on confidence. If a player is not confident, he is not going to perform at his highest. He needs to be at his highest confident level to perform really well. And Doug Nikhazy coming out on Friday not only picks up him, but it picks up the other 8 players in the field and the DH. And they perform at a much higher level. So that's the reason I refer to this team as an anti-analytic team. This is something we need to look at in the future because it's quite interesting, and I think Doug Nikhazy needs to stay on Friday as long as possible. I know people are interested in playing games with the number 2 in the regional if Oxford gets selected as a host. But I just don't know. There's a mindset that is developed from the beginning, and Doug Nikhazy gives that and allows them to carry through. Now, anybody they pitch against, now I don't think anybody is going to hold off their ace, but Ole Miss's number 2 should be better than their number 2, and Ole Miss's number 3 should be better than their number 3. That's just the way it works. Derek Diamond and Drew McDaniel, they can carry the water. I understand. I get the idea that Ole Miss needs to hold their ace in the regional going up against the number 4 if they host. If it's a 2-3 game, you've got to pitch your ace. Doug's got to go out there the first day. I understand that. But my thought is this is such an anti-analytic thing, where if something bad happens in game 1, it's just a slugfest. Let's say Ole Miss wins. They win 5-4 in just a baseball game. It's no blowout. You have to taxed out, and you're going up against the number 2 team in the winners bracket. Well, that confidence from game 1 is going to be lower. I mean, Doug coming on the hill will be able to bring it back up, but that's still in their head. I'm just a little bit worried about that because whenever things go bad in our fan base, and you saw this in the Tennessee Tech series, it gets really tight. The team, they don't necessarily cheer. It gets quiet. It gets eerily quiet, and the players can feel that. Whenever bad things happen, it's almost a way for bad things to continue happen and move forward. And it's completely on our fan base. There's so many people that have been trained, for lack of a better word, to expect bad things to happen, that they're waiting always for the other shoe to drop. Even when something good happens, they're waiting for the bad thing to come on. And that's just not an enjoyable experience. That's not an enjoyable way to follow college baseball or any sport. Waiting so much for something bad. And you just need to realize that. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you can go bad or you can go good. There's a reason, I believe, that Ole Miss's only trip to Omaha went through Lafayette, Louisiana. And it's because that super regional series, the whole thing is spent waiting for the other shoe to drop, no matter how well it's going. I mean, Ole Miss would almost have to win 10-0 for both the games and go to College World Series for it to be acceptable. If it gets to 10-4, all of a sudden there's a nervous energy that's going to enter that stadium. I'm not really necessarily bad-mouthing the fans there. I'm just saying that's what's happening. From somebody that really only started paying attention to the fan base and everything else at Swayze a few years ago, that's exactly what happened. If you think back to the Tennessee Tech series, you were waiting for Tennessee Tech to win that series. You weren't cheering for Ole Miss. You were waiting for Ole Miss to lose because you went in with a nervous energy to begin with. You went in waiting on the other shoe to drop. We've got to get past that. We absolutely have to get past that. And we just have to cheer. The one thing that Arkansas has going for them this year is they are absolutely relentless. They never stop. It's a 27-out proposition to beat them. You saw that in the Sunday game when they came to Oxford. We fought all the way back to tie them up in the 8th inning, and they kept going. They're relentless. The fan base for Ole Miss needs to be relentless. It needs to be a 27-out cheer. It needs to be all about pushing the team forward and propelling them in a way that is going to be constructive. There's disadvantages that Ole Miss has with baseball scholarships. I'm not even going to get into that. But there's always disadvantages. Ole Miss is 3 million people in 2 D1 SEC programs in the state. They're going to have a lower player pool than a neighboring state. Alabama has twice the population and the same number of SEC teams. It's going to change the math of roster consumption. So they're always coming in. It's always an underdog situation at Ole Miss. That's fun. That's the reason a lot of us get into football. That's the reason a lot of us get into Ole Miss to begin with, because we like the underdog. We like doing that. The accomplishment. So we can't come at it like we're Alabama, where if you lose a game, all of a sudden there's a crazy meltdown. You need to come at it from a way of lifting the team up. Help the program out. Every batter, we are going to help the program out. We're going to cheer the player on. We're going to help their confidence, which is the most important thing when it comes to collegiate athlete. If you want to lose a game, nervous energy and confidence dropping is a surefire way to do it. We saw that against Tennessee Tech. That team shouldn't have lost to Tennessee Tech, but they did. It's all because the confidence level dropped down that whole day during that doubleheader. And they could really hit the baseball. I'm not saying they couldn't, but just be careful of that. But this team, like I said, is an anti-analytic team, and they're very much emotional based. They get a lift from Doug Nikhazy on the mound, and that can carry them. Our 2 best games this season has been when he's pitched on Saturday and then the carryover to Sunday. That carryover is starting now on Friday. That's a good thing. I hate what happened to Gunnar Hoagland. I really do. Genuinely do. But in my opinion, that fixes a mistake that the analytics said we needed to make. So Doug coming on Friday, beat Vandy, number 2 in the country. But that's just my theory of everything that's going on. So when we come back, we are going to get into Jacob Gonzalez, Freshman of the Year, Luis Rodriguez, Panamanian National Team call-up, and Matt Corral in the quarterback rankings. We've seen a bunch of rankings. They're very inconsistent. I'm going to tell you why I think that is happening. But until then, stick around.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping. Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen. As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
All right, welcome back to the POMcast on this beautiful Tuesday morning from the palatial Central Florida studios. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day, and if not, I hope this show is brightening it up somewhat. Before we get started, I do want to tell you about the rebelwalk.com, right there. Evelyn and the team do a fantastic job over there. They provide a subscriber level experience for no money, none at all. The only investment that you have to make is your time, and it is well worth it to do so because they have experts lined up for baseball, basketball, football, largest staff by far covering Ole Miss sports, and it's really neat to see. They're also, dipping their toe in the recruiting landscape. So, rebelwalk.com, the rebelwalk.com, they just provide a very, very good alternative to the pay sites. Anyway, welcome back. First segment of the show, we talked a little bit about how Ole Miss baseball is an anti-analytic basic thing. It's they're all about energy and emotion and all the things that you cannot calculate. And analytics say we should set it up a certain way, but this team is not really built that way because they are so dependent on emotion. They're so dependent on their confidence. It's really interesting because when things go really good, things go really good for this team. When things go bad, they can go off the rails pretty quick. But it was just a thought that I had thinking about all the stuff that's going on with this team and all that they've been through. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Tonight they play UT Martin, and this weekend at Georgia, setting up this baseball team. I want to talk a little bit real quick before we get started. Jacob Gonzalez won Freshman of the Week. All right. And it's the wrong one. Oh, there we go. He won Freshman of the Week over his massive mashing days. I was just joking around on Twitter that he should change his voicemail on his phone to, like, I'm Jacob Gonzalez and I hit bombs. He's well on his way to a stat line of 350, 10 home runs, and 50 RBIs this season as a true freshman. That compares very favorably with Greg Kessinger and Zach Cozart's time when they were here. Zach Cozart back when they had the live bats. So I'm really excited to see this kid develop. Him and TJ McCants do wonderful. McCants is second on the team. He's tied with Kevin Graham for second in batting average, and Jacob Gonzalez is currently first on the team. So that is pretty cool, and I'm very excited about that and everything that they can do. But he won Freshman of the Week this year. All right, and that's going to really kind of close our baseball talk. But catch the preview show this Thursday with Chad Smith, and we'll do a reaction show right after the ball game like we always do. So you can keep it locked in right here for more information on Ole Miss baseball. We're going to enter that rebelwalk.com toy chest and see what we can find out. All right, Luis Rodriguez, by the way. Luis Rodriguez got called up to the Panamanian national team. That's very cool. I mean, anytime you get to represent your country is a very cool thing. And I think State had a player from Panama as well. But it'll be nice to see where Luis develops his game, and this tournament and everything, this call-up is going to help that, because his transition from like supremely athletic guy to remaking his body and kind of becoming a TD light type player is almost complete. And this will play a pretty fantastic role in this player moving forward. So I'm looking forward to seeing his development, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly, how stylistically he changes. Is he going to be a 3-and-D guy? Is he going to be more of the man? Now, with Deshaun Ruffin and those guys coming in, and we have the transfers of Nassim Brooks and Ty Fagan, you have Matthew Morrell. I mean, this basketball team is going to be the first in Ole Miss history to have 3 top 50 in a class players. I mean, it's amazing. It's going to be the most talent on the court at one time in Ole Miss basketball history. That's something worth paying attention to. It's interesting to see how it's going to go. Basketball has been helped out so much by the SEC network. Those games being on TV, you can just see the players coming in changing. You see players coming into different places. And now places like Ole Miss, which has always been, when it comes to basketball, towards the bottom of the conference, now you have 3 top 50 players on their roster. And you have transfers coming in that are set to do roles. And you got a 7-footer in the middle. And you got Jamin Brakefield playing the 4. I mean, it should be interesting. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to basketball season. Don't want to look forward to basketball season too much, because I don't want to rush through football season, because I'm looking forward to that. So getting a call up to a national team is never something to shy at, and congratulations to Lewis for getting that done. And hopefully that experience will carry over to development this season and help the team. Now, we're going to change a little bit, and we're going to talk about basic rankings. Matt Corral, Fox put out a ranking of the top 10 quarterbacks of 2022, and Matt Corral was not on it. There was 4 SEC quarterbacks on it. I think Miles Brennan made it, Bryce Young, JT Daniels, and I think somebody else did. And they're big on backups. Like, I can't pronounce his name, but the DJ guy at Clemson. Bryce Young is on the list at 4. Spencer Rattler, who we've talked about. We ignore the first 4 games of the season of him last year. So, this is what I think's happening. Matt Corral is finding himself not on the list because of the name on the side of the helmet. These journalists and all that, these people that have been told to make these lists are so lazy, they don't actually do the work that is required. So everything is going to be, Alabama's quarterback is going to be good. Clemson's quarterback is going to be good. LSU's going to probably have a guy. They had Joe Burrow a couple years ago. Matt Corral coming off a top 10 victory over Indiana. Some polls had them in, just outside the top 10. But you need to realize that until Ole Miss deserves the benefit of the doubt, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. They're not going to get the parts of these rankings. They're going to over-exaggerate the Arkansas and LSU games, the 2 disaster games last year. While you look at it like Spencer Rattler gets the benefit of the doubt. Bryce Young He must be good. Even though he didn't even play as much mop-up duty last year as a normal Alabama quarterback does. That's a major red flag with Bryce Young with me. Mac Jones having to go in and continue playing quarterback over Bryce Young. And when in the past, you'd see Tua coming in, you'd see Mac Jones playing for a quarter or two. That didn't happen last year. Miles Brennan, I mean, good quarterback. I don't see it at all. At Clemson, it's like, okay, it's the same thing as Bryce Young. It seems like a good quarterback. Spencer Rattler made plays and won the game against Texas, like every Oklahoma quarterback before him. Now, the previous two won, or I think there was 2 Heismans in there, and there was a Heisman nominee in there. So that's not exactly the same thing. But I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he's going to be a system guy in the NFL, just like Matt Corral, by the way. It's going to be imperative for Matt Corral to find the right place to play. If you go in and find Los Angeles' offense and Justin Herbert, it's going to be a problem for Matt Corral because that's not the type of quarterback he is. He needs somebody with a little bit of system awareness and how to use him. Like in Miami, like Tua Tagovailoa was not going to be very successful running a Chan Gailey offense. You can't run offenses from 20 years ago with a specific special type player. You need to cultivate the offense around his strengths. And his strengths are going to be real similar to what Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian was doing. So they've rebuilt the offense this year. So I'm interested to see what Tua looks like. Did they come to this the correct way, or did they just get rid of Chan Gailey and hire another Chan Gailey? So it's something to look at. And I'm curious about Justin Herbert to see the new staff over there in Los Angeles. Because system is everything. Any player, high school players, listen to me. If you are a good player, know what you are. Know what system can make you shine. And how they can use you and how you're going to be on the field. Because system is everything. The wrong system is the difference between going to the NFL and not. That's the reason 2 stars make it to the NFL. They luck into exactly the right system. The coaches recruit those players because they know they will fit that system, and that system allows them to move forward. That's the one thing. Whenever people do top 5 lists and top 10 lists when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL, it's all dependent on system. There's 10 different rankings in that league, and none of them are correct except for one team. Baltimore would not survive with Justin Herbert. Just wouldn't. Lamar Jackson would struggle in San Diego. Or Los Angeles. Sorry about that. It's as the NFL becomes more of a cornucopia and takes in college ideas and more systems get traction in that league, I think you're going to see different type quarterbacks that failed before, say Johnny Manziel, being very successful. Johnny Manziel playing for Kansas City right now would be basically the same Texas A&M offense. It would cause problems for teams. But Johnny Manziel playing in, I hate to say it, Los Angeles last year, that's going to be a problem. A certain type of guy is needed to run that system. Anyway, I'm going to give you a couple minutes back today. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow, and it should be a fairly good show. But until then, hotty toddy.